Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your mindset coach this evening. Today, we're going to be talking about Christmas after. Well, what is Christmas after? Christmas after is going to be dealing with the feelings that we're feeling after Christmas, right? On Christmas, everyone was posting pictures of their family, smiles, all the food they ate, all the gifts they got. And now we're starting to go into the next phase of the whole holiday season, and that's going to be New Year's. But when we look at all those smiling faces, all those families, what do we see? We see gratitude. We feel gratitude. And though that feeling is good, and we want to have that in our life, and we want to have it abundantly, how many people forget? And how long does it take to forget? And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's podcast. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all those things that videos like. And let's get into today's blog, which is called Christmas After. Now, this is a short blog that you can read on my website, revenconcepts.com. And it's going to be talking about how wonderful Christmas is, how wonderful the holiday time is. But there's a problem. It's only temporary. And we're going to be talking about some different types of mindsets in a little bit. But what I want you to get from this article, this blog, is that we fill ourselves with joy and so much happiness around the Christmas time. But then that joy just fades away. And how long does it take? In 2020, it took only 2 months because COVID hit, quarantines hit. There was no Christmas joy. There was no more gratitude. There was only, I have to survive. I have to do what's best for myself and my family. So we know it can be destroyed at the wake of any bad news. Now, just because you get bad news, it shouldn't affect your outcome, right? Because if that's the case, that means you don't have a plan. No matter what, you should have a plan. And the Christmas after is talking about how we feel and how we're full of joy and all the good things, but it talks about how to keep the good qualities of the holiday times. Because the world right now is warped. And the way it is warped is we have people who think that looting and rioting and stealing, as long as it's not from an individual or it is validated by the person needs to do this in order to survive, it's kind of a weird thought process. I need to survive, so I'm going to loot, burn, riot. Why do people think that way instead of saying, I need to provide for my family. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to change myself. I'm going to change my habits and my work ethic so I can get my family the things they need. One requires work. One requires victimism. Do you want to be a hard worker or do you want to be a victim? And I always tell people, let's do the hard work. And I'm going to help you. Because people have a hard time starting. And we're going to find that out quickly as soon as this new year hits. Last week on Friday, we were talking about the troubles of 2022. And it's not to, me being pessimistic. It's me giving you the truth. The mind doesn't change easily. It requires hard work and focus. And people don't have either of those right now. So the Christmas after is going to be talking about what we should be going for, right? And then we also have more content to find on my website, motivational videos. We're going to be having some more interviews coming. And all of those are going to help you get out of the mindset that we're currently in. So what's so bad about having Christmas and then having New Year's and then going back to who we were? Well, the problem with that is if we keep going in this rat race, this circle, we're never going to become the people who we were supposed to become. Because we're always continually being happy, being normal, being happy, being normal, going back to our old habits. And that's not going to help us. So the people who have habits of going out New Year's and saying 2022 is going to be the best year, or the following year, whatever year it is going to be, the next year is going to be the best year. And something happens in the beginning, right? Maybe something happens toward the end and it's not the best year anymore. Maybe a loved one passed away. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe the government imposed new mandates and lockdowns, quarantines. And you're faced with fear. You're faced with an unknowingness of your future. And if you allow people to dictate what you can do, then you never will do what you were supposed to do. And that's why I fight. That's my message. My message is to tell people, listen, you have been told that you cannot too long. I want to tell you that you can. And the only person that you need to believe in that is you. And if you're having a hard time understanding that, then of course you can hire a coach or a mentor to be that belief for you. But it's not the same as if you believe in yourself. I can believe that you can do something. It's going to be the motivation for you, right? It's going to be the initial spark. But it's not going to keep you there. You have to transition my belief in you into you believing into yourself. And of course, I do that with conversation, our sessions, positive self-talk. It's a pyramid of things that have to happen before we get to that point. But why do so many people forego it? Why do so many people just give up and they accept what life gives them? Why don't they fight? And it's because they're afraid. They're afraid of losing what they have. Look at Christmas, for example. They might not have much, but at least they can say, I have more than this person. Now we're comparing ourselves. When you want something in life, the last thing you should do is compare yourself to someone else. Because they're not you. They didn't have the life you had. They didn't have to go through the challenges that you had to deal with. It's your life. So why are we over here complaining, pointing fingers? And then now we're talking about the unfairness of the world. Okay. I can care less how much tax Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos pays. I can care less because they're not me. I'm worried about me. And when you put your focus on something trivial like that, guess what happens? You don't focus on you. And you don't focus on growth. So the Christmas after way of thinking, we're going to be going downhill, right? We got to the top, and guess what? We felt good. Smiling faces. Everything is good. Kids are out of school. Families together. Yeah, of course, we got a message from Joe Biden saying it's going to be a Christmas filled with illness and death. And of course, people are getting sick with this new variant of virus, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on what we are able to do versus let's live in fear and not take action. Because we have some good momentum right now. And the clients I have been working since November, they have even better momentum, but it's not too late for people to sign on and say, hey, I'm ready to join this train and to create momentum in my life. Because you have to understand something. If you start before the race and you get a head start running, you're going to be ahead of the crowd who start as soon as the bell rings or the siren sounds. We're already started. We have that momentum. And now January, February are going to be determining months for us do we decide? And that's going to be, do we decide to become better? Do we decide to put in the hard work in order to be in a position where we're going to be okay regardless what happens in the world? Because come November, that's when more trouble starts. And we're a long way away from November. So that means we have a good amount of time right now to get in a healthy position, right? To get the vantage point per se. And I would rather have you at a high vantage point and be able to take down all your challenges and all the opposition rather than you be fodder trying to reach the top when it's too late. So if we know we need to be wary of the end of next year, that means we need to work now. There's a story, it's a kid's story, of the grasshopper and the ants. And the grasshopper would play all summer and he would tell the ants, come on, let's play, let's have fun. And he would play his, music and dance and sleep and take it easy. And the ants said, no, we can't. We're getting ready for the winter. And it's, spring, summer. And the grasshopper's like, what are you talking about? It's so far away. It's so far away. And the grasshopper continually put off and he didn't prepare. And when winter hit, he didn't have anything. And he was cold. He was hungry. Luckily for him, the story turned out in his favor, where now he was able to stay with the ants. And the ants fed him, took care of him. And that winter, they had a good time. They had fun, they partied. But then the next spring, the next summer, the grasshopper was not playing, not fooling around. He was helping the ants prepare for the next winter. Now, 2020, it wasn't fun, right? We think about it. 2021, things are getting better, right? We think. We have a new president. There's a lot of hope in people who think that the president is the person who changes everything when that's not the case. He's one person. He does have power for executive orders, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be the saving grace. We have to be the saving grace, the people. We forgot that. So now 2021, what are we doing? Are we preparing yet? Because we just went through a harsh winter, 2020. People are still not preparing. They're in fear. Yeah, and you can stock up on provisions and you can stock up on food and toilet paper, but how's that going to help you? Survive until you can't survive anymore? You need to put yourself in a position where no matter what happens to you, you're going to be okay. Most people give up. As soon as they run out of money, of time, they allow circumstance to be their deciding factor. So we know that. And we have a good feeling inside of us right now. Because again, Christmas just happened. I can go to my Facebook page and show you all the families, smiling faces. I can show you all the gifts. Everyone so excited. Not for next year, for today, or for that Christmas day. They weren't worried about, well, what's happening tomorrow? What's going to be happening next month? They wanted to share their joy with everyone. And I felt it. I felt it through the pictures and the videos and the posts, the comments. Everyone was so delighted. Now, imagine if we multiplied that. Imagine if we said, all right, I'm going to continue this type of mindset, this type of thinking. And I'm not saying that you have to buy people gifts every day. I'm not saying that you have to go out and cook big meals. I'm not saying that. There's a different type of mindset that comes around in the holiday. Some of it is negative, some of it is positive. But on days when we can appreciate what we have, it's more positive than negative. And what's going to happen with that positive thinking, it's more difficult to maintain that. So eventually our mind is just going to tire out. It's going to get tired of pushing, tired of smiling, tired of being happy, tired of fighting. So it's going to give in. The first negativity can be the one negativity that takes your whole year away. And with the mandates coming back and all the rules and the guidelines coming to impose on your freedoms, it's going to be difficult for people to see 2022 as something prosperous. Now, come November, midterms, if the power of the House changes, right, what would happen? We're going to be almost at a standstill. And of course, there's going to be people saying that the reason why we can't make any progress, the reason why people are getting sick still or are dying is because of these people. And now all of a sudden, now we have enemies again. We're creating enemies because mainstream media is telling us, hey, these people are stopping us from getting better, getting back to normal. And guess what's going to happen? Now people are going to be more upset. It's not going to be a simple riot. It's not going to be a simple protest. It's going to be civil war. And as much as we want to avoid that, it is a high likelihood if we can't start to change. Now, I always give advice on what we can do before that happens. Because the people who lose are going to be the people who don't prepare. Now, of course, you might think you're prepared because you have a lot of toilet paper or you have freeze-dried food or you have all the vaccines and all the boosters. You can definitely think you're prepared, but that's not preparation. That's just your lifestyle. What we need to do to prepare for anything that could possibly happen to be detrimental to our livelihood is to fortify our mind. Now, I say that not because I'm a mindset coach, but because it is the most logical step in the series of events that's going to be happening. If you have a weak mind, you're not going to be able to handle any type of turbulent behavior or environment. Your mind is going to crash because you're afraid, because you're weak. And I'm offering you an opportunity to become strong. And it doesn't matter what side you're on, political, race, religion. If you want to get stronger, that's what I do. I help people become strong mentally. Because if you don't fortify your mind for negativity, for the possibilities of what could happen in the world, we're going to fail. And it took me years. It's not easy. It took me years to get to the point where I had a good grasp of who I was, my emotions, right? But at the same time, I understand there's always more work to be done. So, of course, I read, I write, I do all the things that I'm supposed to be doing still. How many people are still doing that? How many people just go to their 9 to 5, maybe Zoom because they're working from home still? And then after work, they go, oh, that was a long day. Time to relax, time to put on a movie. Where is the self-help? Where is the betterment happening in your life? Does it happen on a certain day? Does it happen every single day? Before I started my business, every single night, I was reading. Even after my business, I was reading. I needed more information. I needed more knowledge. Any spare time that I had was to get better. And I know that if I want to keep elevating, I need to keep attaining knowledge. And I have to keep applying my knowledge. Because knowledge is power, but just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you're powerful. Because if you're going to let the world impose their touch upon you, their influence, it's going to be difficult for you to say, well, I read this, but they're telling me to do this, so I'm going to listen to them because they're people I should be listening to. So yeah, Christmas happened. We were happy, we were smiling. But then if we go to the news, fear. They're not worried about Christmas gifts. They're not worried about smiles and cheer and Santa Claus. It's back to fear mongering. It's back to conditioning you to be negative. Because if you can operate in a negative mindset, you're going to be susceptible to whatever they need you to do. You're going to be susceptible to fear. And if you have a positive mindset, fear has a much more difficult time permeating who you are. We have to be able to use this momentum we got from Christmas and push forward. Because if we don't push forward, we're going to fall back. And if you have been paying attention to 2021, we are steadily going downhill. Steadily going downhill. We have to stop. We have to stop. We have to let go. And then we have to take matters into our own hands. And the way you do that is by controlling who you are, by being able to control your thoughts, feelings, and your actions, and not allowing anyone to be able to influence them. You have the first say. You have the last say. So don't allow someone's influence to say, oh, we need to be afraid because you can get sick and die. Okay. Well, I can get in a car and I can get in a car crash and I can be no longer here too. But you don't see people not getting in cars anymore. It's all about fear. Because they can easily stop talking about people getting sick and people getting in car accidents, and then all of a sudden people are going to be afraid to drive. They can easily do that. But if you fortify your mind that whatever they say, you say, okay, well, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. And then you carry on with your life. Because you don't need negativity. You don't need people telling you that you can't do something. Because when you have people limiting who you are, you need to limit how much influence they have on your life. Definitely a must read. The Christmas After blog, revenconcepts.com. If you have any questions, email me, coachinginsession@gmail.com. If you have been writing questions in chat, I will definitely stick around to answer those or answer them right now. As for anyone who's watching or listening to this podcast on a podcast station, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. Until I see everyone on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, take care.